To some folks passing through, the Southwest might seem a lonely place. Big and barren, of not much use. An empty wasteland. But it does grow grass. And from that grass flows one of America's greatest production lines, the cattle of the beef industry. A big business that begins in the Southwest and the other grasslands that cover almost half of the United States. Lands too rough and dry for field crops. But by cattle grazing, they are made of value to the nation through the beef production line. In the cattle country to the north, there is green range and running water from snow and rain. But in the Southwest, water is scarce and precious. And to get this ingredient for the cattle production line, reservoirs are built, dikes of dirt that are piled up across the natural water courses to catch the runoff water after the rain and hold it in tanks of earth for the dry season. In addition, wells are drilled and topped with windmills. Their shadows stretch across the sun-baked land. In the whole semi-arid Southwest, on the plains of West Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and parts of Nevada and California, the cattle production line depends on the windmills and the tanks. The models of the production line are varied. Black Aberdeen Angus, a strain brought from Scotland, are raised on a few Southwest ranches. The high-shouldered Brahmas thrive on ranches to the south. Originally from India, these rugged animals are better able than other breeds to stand the heat of the more desert-like areas. But the red and white Herefords are the most common cattle of the Southwest range. For these white faces, called so for their markings, have the straight backs, short legs, and full bodies that make heavy meat producers. They are good rustlers for grass and feed in this sparse land. For only in the summer months is the range green. Then clouds pile up to dump their showers, and for a few short weeks, the cattle feed on crops of native grasses. Then forage and water, the essential raw materials of the beef production line, are plentiful. But much of the year, the range growth is dried to a brown or to a silvery white, and in times of drought may vanish completely. Therefore, the cattle find roofed feeding bins near the windmills and tanks. In the dry seasons, these self-feeders of various sizes cover troughs that are filled with cottonseed meal and salt. Salt is necessary to animals, and by it, the ranchers control the feeding of their cattle. Thus, in drought time, they keep the production lines alive. Brands are the marks of ownership by which the ranchers label their products. Brands are created from the fancy of the owner. Numbers or initials may serve, or the brand may be suggested by some useful, everyday object. To pot hooks from a campfire. To be placed so. And connected by registered with the state in which the ranch exists. They are then the property of that ranch and may be used by no other in the same vicinity. But brands are hard to see when the hair grows out, and for further identification, the ears of the cattle are cut or notched. Each ranch has its own special pattern of ear marking. This also is registered with the state. Marking and branding of the new crop of calves is done in spring and fall, at roundup time. Then the cattle are gathered from the range, and each cowhand drives in the few head from the small section he rides to join those driven in by other riders. The growing herd moves on along time-traveled routes. Headed for a familiar corral, the herd is divided, and those animals to be branded or sold are selected or cut out. Cutting out is done slowly to prevent milling of the herd, which causes loss of weight. The animals are singled out and shuttled into another group and are driven into the corrals. Here the branding irons are heated, sometimes in an open fire or perhaps in an old oil drum. Their handles extend from the fire. They are carried to the branding to be stamped onto the top of the calf's thick hide. One cowhand quickly notches the ear, and one dehorns the calves. Another vaccinates as a protection against disease. Branding over, everyone gets a shower of insecticides against flies, ear ticks, and other pests. In some areas, the animals are dipped, but here they are sprayed with the antiseptic liquids. Cattle sales are held after roundup, on most ranches in the fall to avoid the winter weather, but in desert areas, they are held in the spring before the summer droughts. Some ranches sell calves, but more often, sale cattle are yearlings or older. Those to be sold are loaded for shipment. They may be moved by truck or by railroad as the cattle production line moves on from its beginning on the range toward its finishing period, the feedlots. In the earlier days, the loaded cattle trains headed only east to the corn belt, to the silos and feeding pens of the Midwest farms. There, the cattle fattened on corn for the packing plants of Omaha, Kansas City, Chicago, and the Eastern market. But of recent years, more and more of the cattle trains head west to fill the ever-growing needs of the millions of people who live on the Pacific slope. The trains stop on sidings on the longer hauls, and the cattle are unloaded every 36 hours into railside corrals. They are fed, and after a 5-hour rest, they reload to move on to the valleys of the West, along the Salt and Gila rivers in Arizona, and in the Central and Imperial valleys of California. Upon arrival, the animals, not yet ready for finishing because of age or condition, are put out to pasture. The rest are corralled in feed yards that may serve only a few hundred head or may have a capacity of many thousands. Here they are fed high-concentrate rations, scientifically developed. The ranchers and feeders have enlisted the aid of the trained nutritionist, adding his scientific knowledge of dietetics to their years of practical feeding experience. Between them, they have evolved a concentrated diet made up of several ingredients, the main ones of which are usually barley for grain and alfalfa hay to be cut fine for roughage. Cottonseed meal is included. To these are added dried beet pulp, cottonseed hulls, or other vegetable byproducts in season. All of the ingredients are carried from storage by conveyors through pipes to the feed mill. Here they are mixed and bound together with molasses. Inside the mill is the control panel for the exact mixing of the formula as set up by the feeder. There is no guesswork. 6 scales are set, each with a given weight for a specific ingredient. A selector switch determines the product being added, and push-button controls automatically start and stop the flow from that particular bin. Each batch of feed is thoroughly mixed and emerges a soft, moist blend. It is loaded into motorized feed wagons and weighed. For an exact accounting is kept of feeding costs and weight gains. Once weighed, The wagon rolls down the lanes between the pens. It feeds several thousand head in a short time. For in Western cattle feeding, the day of the horse and the wagon and the pitchfork is rapidly disappearing. For 3 to 4 months, the cattle feast on the balanced rations, with nothing to do but eat, rest, and grow fat. Then fat and ready for market, they travel by truck on the short haul to the pens of the packing plants in the cities of the West. From out of the pens, they move up the ramp toward the packing plant, one of America's biggest production lines. A great industry that turns the nation's grass, leather, and a host of other products essential to man. Meanwhile, back on the lonely range, the endless cycle moves on through the seasons. The rains come, followed by the droughts. The windmills pump their precious water. And in the barren land, the cattle bring forth their new models to start along the great production line.